Hi everyone, welcome back. We are getting ready for another Shabbat, an exciting Shabbat. We have two beautiful parashiyot, although they are short and somewhat complicated in their content and in the concepts that are discussed in the parasha. We'll try to elaborate and try to find the lessons that we could draw from this week's parasha. As we know that our sages tell us that the word Torah comes for Lashon Ora'ah, lessons. And as we know too in our Jewish tradition, the Torah is eternal. And so too our messages and the lessons that we find the Torah are also eternal. So although at times we look in the parasha, we seem to say, and I get this all the time, Rabbi, well, the parasha is talking about a leopard, and how is it pertinent? How is it exciting to me? And how is it practical to me in our age and time? So before we get to address this question, I will give a quick summary as I did last week about the parasha. So this week's parasha is Tazria Metzora. At the end of last week's parasha Shemini, we began to discuss the laws of purity. These laws, called the laws of Tum'ah and Ta'ara, are continued in this week's portion. The first topic discussed is a woman who has given birth. She is impure for a set amount of days. Then she immerses in a mikveh. As mentioned last week, this is a special body of water that makes a tameh, impure person, tahor, pure, and brings a sacrifice. All baby boys are to be circumcised at 8 days old. We call this, as we all know, a Brit Milah, which is discussed in this week's parasha. Next topic of discussion is a unique disease called tzara'at. It is different from other illnesses because it has a spiritual cause. It makes a person impure. If a person thinks he may have this affliction, he must go to the Kohen, and the Kohen looks for signs to see whether the impurity of tzara'at, whether it is an impurity of tzara'at or just a regular illness. The Torah teaches the Kohen which signs to look for the identity of this disease as tzara'at. So this is a quick summary of the idea of tzara'at on this week's parasha. Often people like to characterize events or experiences as either positive or negative. Our brains prefer the easy and simplicity of clear distinctions. Life, as we know it, friends, is more complicated than that. Often the positive and negative overlap in surprising ways. Often the greater potential for risk holds the greater potential for profit. The more potent the experience, the more likely can be either deeply traumatizing or profoundly enriching. An interesting illustration of this principle is the tzara'at, as we just mentioned in our parasha summary. The mysterious discoloration which would appear in biblical times in the Jewish home in the land of Israel, as the Torah describes in this week's portion, and I quote, "The Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, when you come to the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, and I place a legion of tzara'at upon a house in the land of your possession." The Torah then proceeds to elaborate on the details of the discoloring and how in some cases it was necessary to remove the discolored stones. And in some cases the entire home would have to be destroyed. Rashi, the classic biblical commentator, offers opposing explanation as to the purpose of tzara'at. Rashi explains that tzara'at would appear as a punishment for lashon hara, for evil speech, literally translated. Yet he also offers another interpretation. because because the Amorites had hidden away treasures of gold inside the walls of their houses during the entire 40 years that the Israelites were in the desert, and through the legion, he, the Israelite, will demolish the house and find them. What are we to make of these opposing explanations? On one hand, is the tzarad an indication of negativity, a sign of impurity which must be removed? Or is it a sign which appears in order for the Jew to take possession of the treasures behind the wall? Rashi teaches us that the positive and negative explanation are both true. The same force which the pagans use for impurity, when used correctly, could in fact be a great treasure. Indeed, the Amori was the name of the nation that hid the treasures in the walls. The word Amori comes from the word Amor, which means to speak. The Torah is alerting us to the power of the word. Few things can be destructive or constructive as the spoken word. The word is a powerful thing. Speech is one of the attributes that are given to human beings. And a person could use his speech whether to destroy or whether to create something that is positive. As a famous adage in the Talmud that says, Achaim ve'amavet beyad halashon. Life and death are at the hands of the tongue. Meaning this, like Hashem gave us the ability and the capacity to create even with our mouths, create different realities. That tzara'at was designed in order to lead us to the treasure. Indeed, the Jewish home must be free of the impurity of destructive speech. But stones that captured the energy of pagan speech must be removed. Yet, my friends, removing the negativity is always just the first step, never the ultimate goal. The Torah teaches us that the power of speech must be used to build, to comfort, to empower. Words have a way of reaching deep within ourselves, releasing the inner treasures of our soul, and allowing us to understand, empathize, and connect to people around us. I hope these words were inspiring and pertinent to you. And by so, we've accomplished what the Torah is asking us to do, to learn and to delve into the hidden messages in the Torah and to try to apply it into our daily lives. I wish you a healthy and happy Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.